Running from God is harmful to your faith. Running from God is harmful to your faith. We're going to look at Jonah today, chapter 1. So you can open that up. We're going to begin a series. The next 4, we'll go through the whole book of Jonah. So I'll be doing chapter 1, and tomorrow we'll move on with chapter 2. While you're moving there, how many of you have kids? The majority of us have kids. How many have, boys? Maybe a couple of them? Okay. Yeah, I'm in that same boat as well. I have a daughter that's 10 years old, and then I have 2 boys, 6 and 3. And those 2 boys are sometimes very trying on the nerves. I don't know if you had that same experience as I do. Maybe you're a better father than I am. I don't know. But those 2 boys, at times, they pull out their toys, which is fine. You know, they have toys, pull them out, play with them. But after 4 days of play, it's time to clean up your toys. So I go to them, calmly at first. I say, can we clean up the toys, straighten them up, because we got some other things we're going to do for today. So we need to make sure the house is clean, make sure your room is clean. And so they go off, and it sounds like they're at work. I mean, they're just putting things, they're like reorganizing their room. That's what it sounds like. And I'm in the other room, so a few minutes later, I go back and check, see what's going on. And not only have they not cleaned up the toys that they had out, but they pulled out double amount of toys. So the room is worse off than it was in the beginning. It's pretty bad. So now I have to raise my voice a little bit and try to get their attention. Anybody been there before? So we'll continue that story in a second. But we're going to look at Jonah and the struggle that God had with Jonah during this mission that he had for him. How many of you have ever played tug of war? Tug of war. So if I had this rope, I got a rope, and I threw it out here, and I said, all of you against me, who do you think will win? I'm pretty strong. For a little guy, I'm pretty strong. Who do you think's going to win? Now, obviously, y'all are going to win. There's more of you than me. But this story of Jonah, especially in chapter 1, portrays kind of a tug of war against God and Jonah. Kind of like my boys. Me and my boys, we play this tug of war game where I ask something, expect something, but the desired outcome is something else. So it's a push and pull type of relationship. So if you look in verse 2, I'm not going to read it, but I'm going to kind of tell the story. Kind of sets up what we're talking about with Jonah. Arise and go. That's the command, the mission that God gave to Jonah. He said, Jonah, I've got a mission for you. I need you to arise and go. And he was talking about going to Nineveh. The people there have turned their backs on God. They totally ignored everything that God had commanded them. So Jonah, the prophet of God, was commanded by God to go and show these people the word of God. Show them how to turn from their wicked ways. Now, Jonah, he's a professional. He's a prophet. That's kind of his job, right? It's kind of his job to go tell people about God. That's what he does as a prophet of God. So far there's no struggle. He gets the command. Jonah listens to it. Really nothing kind of out of the ordinary going on. There's no struggle going on at this point until you get to the next verse. And you can look there in your scripture. Verse 3, the struggle begins. Jonah chose to do the exact opposite of what God commanded. Now there's a couple things he did do. He did arise and he did go. But he didn't go to the place that God commanded. He went to the complete opposite direction. He got up, he boarded a boat, and headed in the opposite direction of Nineveh. So he was ignoring God. So you got a professional prophet, a guy who, that's what all he does is tell people about God, going in the complete opposite direction of God. Sometimes that's us chaplains, right? Probably relate to that. Now, the story about my boys, exact same thing. Happens time and time again. Where I ask them to do something, and they give me the complete opposite remark or desired outcome that I would want from them. So Jonah, in his mind, had a different plan than what God had. He didn't feel like getting up and following God that day. He didn't feel like getting up and going after the mission that God had set for him. He felt like running from God. We don't know the reason, what was going on in his mind, what was in his mental state at that point, but we do know he ignored the task and mission that was specifically given to him. So there was a tug of war begun. Kind of the rope was laid out, the mission was laid out, God tugged on Jonah and said, hey, we need you this way. And Jonah tugged on the rope as hard as he could, as tough as he could, and said, look, I'm not going that way. I'm going a different direction. So the story continues as we look at verse 4. Jonah's rejected God's calling. God decides to hurl up a great storm on the sea. Now this is interesting. I think what God's trying to do is get the attention of Jonah. Now we go back to the story of me and my boys. I told you first I come in kind of calm, kind of relaxed. I mean, I'm a quiet guy anyway. I'm an introvert, so I don't talk as much. I think a lot. And so with my boys, though, they just, because of that direct disobedience, they just elevated me a little bit. And I go from like 0 to 60, so it was a lot bit. So I go running in the room, I'm like, boys, I mean, Isaac and Zane, what did I tell you to do? And they say, we're supposed to clean up. Why did you not clean up? Because I came here and I saw this, and I wanted to play with this, and I saw this, and then this was cool, and then Zane did this, and Isaac did that, and back and forth, and it's just over and over. And so at this point, I'm ready to lay hands on some people. Like, that's what I feel like doing. But I'm trying to practice patience as well. Trying to practice patience. So I have to back off a little bit. So God is doing the same thing to Jonah. He's trying to bring about some kind of eye-opening experience with Jonah. Look, there's a storm happening. You're out in a boat, and there's this big storm going on. So God's pulling that tug-of-war rope a little bit more, saying, look, Jonah, like, get off the boat. I mean, you've got to get back and get on this mission that I've set for you. So that's kind of what's going on here. The problem is, we think we can run from God. We think we can run from God. We think we're smarter than God, so that we can just run away. I bet Jonah was thinking, if I get on this boat and I go the opposite direction, God will use somebody else. He just will say, forget it, Jonah left, and I'm out of here. And maybe that's what my boys thought too. They could go to their room, they can make some noise, and maybe say, hey, he's not going to come back and check on us because it sounds like we're doing something. It sounds like we're cleaning something up. And that's kind of where Jonah was, running away. But even in that disobedient time, that's part of the struggle. That's part of what God is teaching us. So remember, running from God is harmful to our faith. So this is how it continues in verse 5. Even though God created a storm to get Jonah's attention, those people on the ship, could you imagine if you were on the ship with Jonah and this storm is happening? Just out of nowhere, the storm pops up. I mean, they don't know who Jonah is. And they're in the middle of this storm just out of nowhere. I mean, they were scared to death. I mean, they were nervous. They were kind of freaking out a little bit. They're like, what is going on here? A storm just all of a sudden. So they're trying to get to the bottom of what's happening here. Jonah kind of pulling that rope a little more. Even though the storm, God pulled up a storm to get his attention, Jonah pulls on the rope and says, God, you still don't got me. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to the bottom of the ship where it's nice and quiet. It's going to be rocking. I'm going to just go to sleep. Just go to sleep there and just ride this thing out. So Jonah's still fighting God's call. He's still fighting the call of God, the mission to go to Nineveh. He's going against it. He decided to go to sleep. It's funny, I was telling my boys this story over the weekend, and one of the excuses that my oldest boy, 6 years old, Isaac, always says is, when I ask him to clean up, but Dad, I'm tired. I'm tired. I just want to go to sleep. My back hurts. I just want to lay down. If I would have asked him, do you want to go play outside, he would not be tired. But when I ask him to go clean up his toys, he's tired. So it's kind of crazy how we as humans come up with excuses depending on what we want to do and not what God wants to do. If we want to do it, we'll do it. We have the energy, we have the time, we can go do it. We have the passion. But sometimes God asks us to do something and we lose all passion, we lose all energy. And that's kind of where Jonah was at this point. So again, his mindset was all about himself. He was all about himself. He was about nothing else but himself. And that's sometimes where I feel like my boys are. So the struggle is real. I mean, just let's lay it out. The struggle is real going on with Jonah and God. So the captain of the ship, as we look at verse 6 through 16, and we're going to read those, the captain of the ship goes and wakes up Jonah. And this is what happens from that point. So the captain came up and said to him, "What do you mean, you sleeper? Arise, call out to your God. Perhaps the God will give a thought to us, that we may not perish." And And they said to one another, "Come, let us cast lots, that we may know on whose account this evil has come upon us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. They said to him, "Tell us on whose account this evil has come upon us. What is your occupation? Where do you come from? What is your country? What people are you?" They're trying to figure out who Jonah is. He says, "I'm a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, "What is this that you have done?" For the men knew that he was fleeing from the presence of the Lord, because that's what he had told them. Then they said to him, "What shall we do to you, that the sea may quiet down for us?" For the sea grew more and more tempestuous. He said to them, "Pick me up and hurl me into the sea. Then the sea will quiet down for you. I know it is because of me that this great tempest has come upon you." Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to get back to dry land. But they could not, for the sea grew more and more aggressive against them. Therefore they called out to the Lord, "O Lord, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not on us innocent blood. For you, O Lord, have done it as it pleased you." So they picked up Jonah, hurled him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows. So you got this situation where the captain of the ship goes down, talks to Jonah, wakes him up, says, "What's going on here? Who are you? What are you doing here?" And so he spills the beans. He tells the truth. He's like, "I'm a Hebrew, a follower of God, a prophet of God. I'm running from God." And so just imagine if you were on that boat and you heard this, you would probably be scared out of your mind. And that's what these mariners were, the people on the boat. They were scared to death. And what's crazy is that Jonah's disobedience is now starting to affect other people. I mean, he's putting people's lives in danger because he's decided to disobey God. And I think sometimes in our life, we do the same thing. Maybe in our unit, in our ministry. We decide to go against what God says, and now it's starting to put other people's life into danger. Other people's faith into question. So you got Jonah there. He tells them the truth, and he says, "Look, I've got the answer. Throw me into the sea, and then all will be well. You will be fine, the storm will stop, and I'll move on." But they didn't want to do that because they knew this was God's man. They didn't want to just throw him off and then they'd be responsible for the prophet dying. That was not something that they wanted on their shoulders. So you saw in the story, they rowed harder. They tried to get back to dry land. The storm got more aggressive. Didn't happen. So finally, they had to go with what Jonah said. They picked him up, they threw him in the sea, and the storm calmed. They praised God. They said, "Look, forgive us for what we have done, but it's something that we had to do, and it's something that Jonah commanded us to do." So now, Jonah, sitting there in the ocean, and sea's calm, the boat's moving on where it needs to go, and Jonah there just sits. I wonder what he's thinking. Like, I don't know how far they are from dry land. I mean, he's probably looking that way. I don't know if he's just saying, "I'm probably just need to end my life now." I mean, I don't know what's going on in his mind. So that struggle, that tug of war was still going back and forth between Jonah and God. And then we get to verse 17, and it's the final verse of this chapter, and God makes one more big pull on that tug of war rope. And he's appointed a big fish to come swallow up Jonah. So you got Jonah sitting there inside of a fish. And the story continues tomorrow. You'll learn more about it. But you've got that tug of war game where God, one more last pull, the fish swallowed up Jonah, and he's stuck inside of a giant fish. So chaplains, what are you doing with the call of God in your life? Are you wasting it? Are you running from it? Are you letting it be harmful to your faith and to others' faith? Are you ignoring it so that you can be the best Army officer? Maybe that's your focus. If I just look like a good Army officer, that's all that matters. I mean, the buzzword in the challenge is identity. Are you forsaking your identity just to get promoted? What is God calling you to do? Are you running from God's will so fast that you fear a real challenge in your ministry? Maybe God's challenging you to do something big, but you're scared to do it. Maybe that's what Jonah was doing. He was running from something because it was such a big challenge, and he had so much fear that he didn't know if he could accomplish it the way that God wanted. Or, and I hope it's this way, I hope this is what you're doing with the call of God in your life. Are you allowing God to use you to accomplish His purpose in your life? My prayer is that you're following God and not just playing a game of tug of war with Him. Let's pray. God, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you for the story of Jonah. Just a real picture of a struggle between you and your people. And God, I just pray for these chaplains in this room and for myself. And God, as we continue to go through this journey in the Army and this calling that you've called each and one of us to, that we would remain faithful to you, that we would decide in our hearts and our lives not to go against you, but to be right up there beside you, as close as we can, following your plan. God, again, I thank you for today. I thank you for the blessings in our life. I thank you for the struggles in our life, because even in those darkest of times, you teach us and show us your way. And Lord Jesus, we give you the glory this day. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.